Construction workers found an 18th century graveyard for African slaves in New York. One set of bones were those of a 6-year-old boy. Scientists found that the lad had been malnourished, diseased, anemic, and had broken bones from carrying loads too heavy for his little body. What was his name? Did anyone weep over his life or death? Did anyone know or care about his pain? When he shivered in the snow or sweltered in the heat, did anyone comfort him? When he whimpered in confusion, loneliness, or agony, did someone hug him? The boy lived miserably and died anonymously. What kind of people could inflict such a life and death on a child? Where was humanity? Where was God? I need not go back centuries to face that same question. If I look around, how much suffering and loss do I see? Where is God? I need not even look beyond myself. I've suffered and will suffer. I will die, and even if people weep over that, I will be forgotten, as will those who wept over me. Where is God? The good and the bad, the rich and the poor, the wise and the foolish, the beautiful and the ugly, we all go into oblivion. Where is God? Easter answers that question. When that boy suffered and died, God was with him. When those I love suffer and die, God is with them. When I suffer and die, God is with me. God is not a spectator. God is a fellow sufferer. He suffers as we suffer. He weeps as we weep. He despairs as we despair. He dies as we die. He cries out, "Where is God?" as we cry out. Jesus' cry on the cross, my God, why have you abandoned me?" is one with our cries. That is some comfort. Quite a big comfort, actually. When I have most reason to think that God is lost, that God does not care, that God does not even exist, then God is most present with me in the same confused, painful way I am present to myself. But Easter says there is more. Christ rose from the dead. His suffering and his death, his confusion and his fear, his doubt and his hope were all embraced by God's love that is stronger than death. His rising from his death is a promise that we too will rise from ours. We do not know what that means. Our statements are poetry more than prediction, and are true as poetry is true, not as almanacs are. We know that God's love for each of us goes far beyond what we can imagine. Heaven will not fit into our imaginations, into our concepts, into our words. What can fit into my head and my heart is a conviction. Christ has suffered, has died, and has risen. That is the guarantee that we will share his life. He loves me enough to join me in death. He loves me enough to have me join him in life. And what of that boy in New York, or the billions of others who have died, most of them never knowing of Christ? The place to look for an answer is my own case. On Easter, I renew my baptismal commitment. I confirm my belief not only in the resurrection of Christ, but also in my own share in the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. Because my death is not apart from Christ's, what happens to me after death is not separate from what followed Christ's death, resurrection. I rejoice and sing Alleluia for Christ and for myself, and for others. The love of God that is stronger than death knows no limit except perhaps our refusal to be embraced by it. All who have suffered have been united with Christ on his cross, whether they have known it or not. God's love will not be cramped by our knowledge or be held off by our ignorance. Those same people, then, are also united in his resurrection. Our Christian vocation comes from this knowledge. All our brothers and sisters have the right to know the good news that Christ dies and rises for them and with them. On Easter, we celebrate on behalf of all the world God's love that embraces all the world. We celebrate for that boy, for all the dead, and for ourselves, the living who are promised to share in the life of Christ who rose. Responding to requests from viewers who want a print version of this video series, the Australasian Theological Forum, in cooperation with UCA News, has published In Season and Out Homilies for Year B. It's available from ATF or your bookseller.